In this edition of RPPV News, police ask for help with a cold case, more buses are coming, and it turns out it doesn't take two to tango. Hello, I'm Catie Sharp. Welcome to the latest edition of RPPV News, bringing you stories from across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula. We've gone back to remote recording for the next little while to keep the RPPV community safe. We're less than 2 weeks away from being 70% vaccinated, which is just as well as local COVID cases have doubled again in the past week. Frankston now has 287 active cases and the peninsula has 186. We have no new exposure sites as at the time of recording, but the Delta strain is incredibly contagious, so stay distanced and masked and get tested if you have cold symptoms. If you're holding back from getting the vaccine because of a fear of needles, we have good news. The Frankston Vaccination Hub has set up virtual reality technology which people can wear to distract them from the jab. The set has over 20 different programs which help reduce anxiety so you can get the job done. This is just another example of how our health professionals go above and beyond when looking after our community. This week, we had the opportunity to thank them on Allied Health Professions Day when we acknowledged the ceaseless hard work of our allied health teams. Throughout the pandemic, they have adapted to ensure they continue to provide the best quality care to our loved ones and community members. Thank you to all our allied health professionals for the amazing work you do. Homicide Squad detectives are seeking public help to solve a local cold case, the 1992 murder of Michelle Brown in Frankston. At about 12 noon on Sunday, the 1st of March 1992, 25-year-old Michelle was driven by a friend from her home in Baxter to another friend's house in Frankston North, where she stayed until about 7 p.m. Michelle and a female friend walked to the Food Plus store on Frankston Dandenong Road, which took them about 5 minutes. Michelle made a call to her brother asking for her mother to pick her up from the Frankston railway station. Her friend left her at the Food Plus and Michelle was seen walking away from the store between 7 and 7:15 p.m. However, it's not known if or how she travelled to Frankston railway station, which was just under 4 kilometres away. A taxi driver saw a woman whom he believed to be Michelle near the phone boxes at Frankston railway station between 8 and 9 p.m. Michelle's mother arrived at the station shortly after 8 p.m. but could not find her daughter. She then drove around looking for Michelle for a while before returning home. A witness who lived near Plain Street just south of the station reported hearing 2 separate screams shortly after 9 p.m. It wasn't uncommon for Michelle's parents to not see her for a few days, and as a result, she was not reported missing by her mother until the 13th of March. The following day, a staff member who worked at Miles Gun Shop on Plain Street discovered Michelle's body in an old shed at the rear of the premises, which was about 400 metres south of the railway station. The shed was accessible from the railway line and surrounded by blackberry bushes. Michelle's body was in a state of severe decomposition and it was determined she was murdered by person or persons unknown. Police are especially keen to speak to anyone who saw a female fitting Michelle's description in or around the public telephone box at the Frankston railway station between 8 and 9 p.m. on Sunday the 1st of March 1992. Investigators would also like to speak to anyone who noticed any suspicious or unusual activity in the area around Plain Street that night, or any activity at the rear of the gun shop or in the vacant block behind it. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers Victoria. MP for Nepean, Chris Brain, has announced the 788 bus that runs between Frankston and Portsea will begin running every half hour on weekdays from November the 14th. On weekends, services will run every 40 minutes for most of the day and every 60 minutes at night. Every second bus will run the full trip between Frankston and Portsea, with the alternating services terminating in Sorrento. There will also be 24-hour weekend services along sections of the route as part of the new night network. Over the summer, Route 788 weekend services will operate with the same frequency as weekdays, meaning local parents will be able to send their teens to the beach with just a wave and a Mikey. Mornington Peninsula Shire is now certified as a carbon neutral business. In 2016, the council made a commitment to operate with zero net emissions by 2021, and they have done it. Since introducing the policy, their total annual emissions have been reduced by over 16,000 tonnes. They've done this by installing energy-efficient LED streetlights across the Shire, rooftop solar panels on Shire buildings, improving the efficiency of building lighting, heating and air conditioning, and diverting waste from landfill. Mornington Peninsula Shire is one of only 14 Australian councils that have reached this milestone. And it's time to get your dancing shoes on. Due to popular demand, Frankston Arts Centre has added new workshop dates for their Tango Dance Workshops at Home series. If you've always wanted to learn how to tango, book now to receive a Zoom link and join in from the comfort of your lounge room. Classes all mainly focus on an introduction to tango, a short sequence that you can practice at home. No partner, no problem also included are exercises and steps that a single dancer can practice and enjoy. People with low or no mobility can participate and will receive alternative moves to follow with the class. This is a pay what you can event and ticket options range from $0 to $40. Jump online to book and get ready to move. We now cross to this month's Bendigo Bank Market Update with David Robertson.
The outlook for our economy continues to be promising as businesses in lockdown reopen, but the global backdrop is as complex as ever. Our latest forecasts a quarter of the way through the financial year. Sentiment held up resiliently through September despite the ongoing impact of the Delta strain here and around the world, and despite more evidence of China's economy decelerating. The stress in China's real estate sector briefly saw a risk-off mood hit the markets, but the recovery in the price of iron ore suggests that financial markets are pricing in that impact as being ring-fenced and not a contagion event. As a result, the focus is back on reopening the economies of New South Wales, ACT and Victoria, and growing confidence that interstate borders can be reopened ahead of Christmas, thanks to progress on vaccination rates. Consumer confidence is just above its long-term average, which is remarkable given the stress and trauma of the COVID era, and given the fall in employment we're currently seeing until we've fully reopened. The unemployment rate is still relatively low, but after a temporary pause, should keep falling in 2022, given the high levels of job vacancies and an uplift in business confidence, led by New South Wales and Victoria. Skills shortages are in focus ahead of major infrastructure projects that will ramp up next year, which does seem at odds with the RBA predictions that wages growth and inflation will remain subdued until 2024. Energy prices have risen sharply, with oil at a 7-year high and gas prices impacting Europe and China in particular. The energy shortages threatening industrial production, so adding to supply chain pressures. The implications for central banks is clear. Official cash rates will need to rise more quickly to address inflation risks, and term rates, especially 3 years and beyond, have risen sharply, reflecting this likely outcome. The big question is whether inflation will just be driven by these factors, or if wages growth will also help, adding to a more sustainable growth and a more balanced and prosperous 2022. As long as we achieve jobs growth, then we should avoid stagflation, which would be the worst case outcome. A key positive for Australia in these rising commodity prices is the impact this is having on trade and exports. We achieved a fresh record surplus of $15 billion for August, which normally would drive the Aussie dollar higher, but that old correlation between rising commodities and the Aussie is on hold for now, thanks to geopolitical tensions, the slowing Chinese economy, and our Reserve Bank positioning themselves at the back of the queue for interest rate rises. So, while we still expect strong demand for commodities ahead, a resilient rebound for our economy, and ultimately RBA rate hikes in 12 to 18 months from now, the Aussie dollar will probably take time to reflect these positives. It's going to be a bumpy and uneven recovery, even though our GDP is expected to grow at least 5% through 2022. But household balance sheets have been buoyed by the property market and accrued fiscal stimulus, so spending into year-end should be elevated. And lastly, equity markets seem to be taking a short breather after the strong gains through to September, and with some thought to where inflation and interest rates will be in a year or two. Overall, the markets are still glass half full, and, like the outlook for the economy, are confident about a highly vaccinated world, but cognizant of the unknowns of living with the virus. And that's the market update from Bendigo Bank.
After the break, we go to Patricia with the coming week's weather report.
Established in 1988, Progress Science has been servicing the local community for 30 years. Located on the Mornington Peninsula, they are the #1 destination for all your signage needs, specialising in a variety of signage from vehicles to shop fronts, occasional and corporate events, short-term, long-term, and everything in between. If it's signs you need, be it large or small, Progress Signs is the place to call. Available 24/7 at progress-signs.com.au or call the team on 5975 9188. Thinking signs? Think Progress Signs, a station sponsor.
RPPV and Bendigo Bank have a long-standing relationship. Without the Bendigo Bank, we wouldn't have a transmitter site, we wouldn't have a studio, we wouldn't have an outside broadcast van, and without them, we can't tell the stories that we think the Bendigo Bank community, our community, needs to hear.
Thanks, Bendigo Bank.
Thanks for your support.
There's a quiet revolution happening on the rooftops of Australia. And at Solar Heart, we're proud to be leading the charge. One home, one family, one solar panel at a time, helping smart Aussies make a real difference to the planet, cutting their energy bills and connecting them to their smart energy future. Get smart, get Solar Heart.
Hello, I'm Patricia, and welcome to this week's RPP Mornington Peninsula 7-day weather forecast. Today we are keeping very close to home. Well, last week's weather was full of wonderfully warm surprises. Let's find out what this week has in order for us. Today, Saturday the 16th of October, brought us a mostly windy, wet and cloudy day. We reached a top of 15 and a low of 8. Sunday sees the showers continuing. Expect an overcast day with a 40% chance of showers across the peninsula. Although we will be looking for those wonderful warm bursts of spring in between those breaks in the clouds. Expect a top of 17 and a low of 9. Monday sees the rain continuing throughout the morning, leading to a mostly cloudy day. We can expect a low of 9 and a high of 18. Tuesday sees another cloudy day with a shower or two. Expect a low of 9 and a high of 18. Wednesday the 20th of October sees a mostly welcome, mostly sunny day. Look for a low of 10 and a high of 21. Thursday will remain warm with a shower or two throughout the day. Expect to feel a low of 11 and a high of 22. And finally, Friday sees the rain returning with an 80% chance of rain. We should feel a low of 12 and a top of 19. Well, that's all for this week. Continue to be kind, patient, and understanding with each other. And until next time, take good care.
And now to our surf guru, Muzz, with the Surf Report.
Hey guys, Muzz here again with this week's Peninsula Surf Report. We're getting closer to the finish here, so a couple of weeks away and things will open up, so we're getting inundated with people coming down from town, which we already have. This week in front of us, a little bit of surf. The wind is going to change, which will be on Saturday, but that's when the swell's going to charge up again. But it will be onshore. There will be surf in Western Port. Won't be fantastic, but it'll be surfable. And then that's going to sort of taper off through the week. Be onshore most of the way through to probably like this week is gone. Probably Wednesday we can expect the wind to turn back offshore again. And probably beach breaks again, so nearly a repeat of the week we've just been through. So I hope everyone's okay and surviving, and see you next week.
And that's all from our team here at RPPV News, serving the community with stories that matter to you. Keep watching and do tell your friends. Stay safe, use the QR codes, and get vaccinated if you can. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula, I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.